Well, hey y'all, this morning we kind of got a surprise coming. We had one of our viewers reach out to us about putting a wiring harness on a C10 pickup truck. I do believe that the truck belonged to somebody in the family, maybe his granddaddy. Not really for sure. When he gets here, we'll let him tell a backstory on it, and we'll go from there. So let's see what he's bringing to us to work on.
Here comes Dustin bringing in the C10.
Finally made it.
How y'all doing?
Good, how about you?
Pretty good.
I've been talking to you.
How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Pretty good.
Hey.
How you know? Good.
Yeah, it's supposed to have been done on that road. It kills us going across.
Yeah, that's a long way.
So this is the... So you belong to your granddaddy?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm my granddad. Yeah. I left that off so it's easier for you.
Yeah. No.
That wiring's a little bit more than I want to get into. Let's be honest with you. I laid that harness out on the floor and started mapping it out.
Yeah.
I like, this is a little bit more now. I've done everything else. You know, I was gonna build my motor. So this is a little bit more.
When we started video and stuff.
Yeah.
And cause used to back then, we was running too wide open to worry about, because this takes twice as long to video and actually do a job. And, so we started doing this just kind of, it just added more, I guess you'd say stress, because of having to try and put everything on camera. But so when we videoed that, we've had several people reach out that's fooling with the C10. It's like, man, you made it look so easy, but it's a pain in the butt. Which, like you said, there's 6 miles of wire and I ain't got but a 30-foot long truck. Where do you put all this stuff?
Yeah. That I've done a lot to it, you know, around home.
Yeah.
I just got a little shop there in my house, a little 7'6" inside, you know, so I've been doing everything on the floor.
Yeah.
But this thing ain't got no dry shaft in it.
I got a forklift by there. Probably the best thing we do is go out there past my truck and just circle around and come back. And we just drop it right here beside the rollback.
Okay.
And then I can pass it.
Put it
And then I'll
inside.
put it inside.
I'll show you some stuff before after we unload it that I've got done to it.
How, you want me to back it up in there like
You can
that?
just back right here.
No, just back right
Yeah.
beside the rollback.
But you just go out there past that green ton truck
Yeah. Turn around.
and turn around anywhere.
Dave,
Yeah.
turn the steering wheel toward me. Keep going.
That's all it's got right there.
Alright. Alright, Dave, we're about to push now, buddy. Get up here.
Take that bolt off. You don't need it now. So right there, you get it off.
Ready, Dave?
Need to rub the head with it.
Nah, chop it, Dave. It'll sit a little bit higher when I get there. I'm gonna put those two wheels on. Sit a little bit higher.
Now that we've got the truck in the shop, we're going to get started. We're putting on a painless wiring harness, a Holley EFI harness, and a Dakota digital system. So y'all stay tuned.
Hey y'all, we got Dustin's truck in the shop. He's one of the subscribers to the channel. And he's seen our painless wiring video we did on a white truck back about a year ago. And he reached out and wanted to know if we could assist him in installing the wiring harness in his truck. So we've got it here in the shop. We've got the Holley EFI system put on it. He's already got everything plumbed in the way he wants it. So we're just going to get the wiring discreetly put on it to where it's not sticking out. It's all kind of streamlined. So what we got here is the Holley EFI fuel injection wiring harness. And we got the self-learning EFI system, 3.5 inch color touchscreen. And the wiring harness for the engine. And the injectors. And then this here is the same painless wiring harness I think that we installed in the white truck, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a 27 circuit, and that's what this one is. And he's took all the goodies out of it. He unpacked it, and then getting stuff back in the factory box is a challenge if anybody's ever unpackaged anything. So he just stuck it all in this here box. And then this here is French. It's fragile. This would be our instrument cluster. So we have a Dakota Digital RetroTech. It's got all of our sensors and all we need. So we begin that installed. And we got a box of goodies here. This is the backing plate for the dash for the Dakota Digital. Got a fuse link. We got wire loom, and he bought the cloth wire loom. That's the good stuff. The easiest way to install this, well, they make a tool for it. But if you'll take a wire pick, and I'll show y'all in the video, and open it up and just run your wire through it. Just like so. Let's see what all kind of goodies we got in here. We got heat shrink. We've got the body grommets to run the wire through. Got the part neutral switch, which this one here he has changed over to a 6-speed, so this won't be finding a home in this truck. Looks like we got interior bolts and screws, headlight adjuster screws. Headlights are in it, so that means he put new adjusters in it. Kick panel screws. Yeah, that's all interior parts. He brought relay brackets. He wants that stuck up at the front firewall. I mean at the course port to put the relays on for the fans. Zip ties. Relays, relay wiring harnesses. We got brand new light bulbs. I hope he has better luck with his than we did ours. The gray and blue truck that we just got done with, we put all brand new lights in it and half of them didn't work. We put the old bulbs back in it and they all went to working. So. And that's all the new wiring receptacle sockets for the tail lights and the parking lights and all. Wire clamps. So yeah. Oh, there's these little fancy tools. You stick your wire in there and then you stick your loom through it. And you shut the door on it and it braids the loom for you. It splits it right there. Comes over that little nodule. Well, let me show you on this. It comes over that nodule right there. And then you just pull it through. But if you ain't fancy, which this is the first time I've ever been in possession of these. I've used them other people's stuff. Well, this is his, so I'm using his. But I've always done it the old-fashioned way. There's our Painless wiring book and our Dakota digital wiring book. So let's get this thing on some jack stands. We got to get the gold truck out of here. It should be going home. And then we'll get started on this here thing. So follow along for another wiring job. Alright, for everybody who has not put a Painless wiring harness in, on each wire it has written on it what it goes to. And each wire segment is zip tied together. What you see laying here is the way they send it to you. So this here goes to the headlights. They've got it split off. They've got everything zip tied out. But if you put it in looms, you've got to cut them zip ties off because the looms don't have enough room for the zip tie to be in there. Then this here is for the engine compartment. And this here is for your taillights, which goes halfway across the shop. And each wire, like I said, has written on it, like this in here, is for the washer fluid pump. So each one of them tells you what it goes to. But the way we're doing this particular job is we're trying to make the wires be as discreet as possible, which means you don't want them ran on the outside of fender wells and you don't want them ran all over the engine bay. So we're trying to tuck them away. So we're going to put all our relays to the fans and all like that in the dash, fuel pump. And then all the wires are going to be run inside the fenders and inside the core support. That way they're not sticking out like a sore thumb. But they're still going to have wire loom on them. Like I said before, he bought the cloth wire loom. So they'll still look, if they're seen, they'll still look decent. So let's get busy drilling some holes and getting everything laid out the way we need it to go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bend this. You don't want to bend your wires at a real sharp angle. So I'm just going to let them naturally bend over where they want to go. But on the other hand, I don't want them hanging out everywhere. So he's marked an X right there. But I think I'm going to drill it right here. That way I can attach it to the firewall and then go through the fender. That way there's no vibration, no chance of them chafing the wires or no chance of them breaking the wires. So, and he bought some grommets. Here's all the stuff that he purchased laying over here. So we've got grommets, we got the box of the wire loom from Painless Wiring. So he bought all of it. So we're going to pick us out a grommet that those wires will pass through. So I think it'll pass through that right there safely. So in there, they're 1 inch hole. And then what you do with these, you take a razor blade and you just split the X. And that allows it to open up to where the wire harness can fit through it. But we're going to use a stepper bit. Yep. And that should be plenty enough. I'm going to pull all my wires tight. Make sure I get them unhung from everything. And since the left side's shorter than the right side, I'm going to tape them all together right here. That way they all get pulled at the same time. And no matter how rough you are with these wires, the writing don't come off. Well, it will come off with chemical, but it won't come off with your fingers. So no matter how many times you run your hands back and forth over it, you won't wipe the stamping off of them. Alright, we're going to stick this through a hole we drilled. And I think I'm going to have to put a chase wire in there because that ain't going to work. Okay, what I use is a piece of weed eater cord. And I'm just going to tape this to it. And whatever you use to pull your wires through, you always want to find either double your wire back to where it'll hold it in place, Or in this case, I'm using this here zip tie. I caught the head of the zip tie in it. I'm just going to tape it to it. And it's a good time to have cheap tape because you're going to waste a whole bunch of tape on odd and end little things like that right there. And you don't want to use the painless wire harness kit comes with tape, but you don't want to use it on stuff like this right here. You want to use it to actually install a wire harness. Stick your wire in through your rubber grommet and then stick your rubber grommet in the hole. That way don't push it out. And you get your guesstimated usage where you need it and you just cut it off. Reinsert our rubber grommet back in the hole. Alright, then we're going to put a clamp right there to hold our wire. But I have not over exerted the wire. It made that natural curve on its own. So that's what you want. You don't want to pull hard enough to where you crimp your wire at a 90-degree angle, because then the vibration will cause it to break. And then you just melt your wire and heat shrink. Just like so.
Well, I see you've got a mess out here.
Yeah, it comes with territory.
So what have you got done so far while I have been in there editing another video? I haven't been out here with the camera.
Well, I got the front wired in. We changed our routing. I'm working on a parking lot over here now. I always stagger my cuts that way you don't have a big knot in your wire loom. And my little butane torch has left the chat, so I'm going to get another one of them. We got all the front end wire. I ran it out here on the outside of the core support on the bottom. So it's out of sight, out of mind. That's where it was ran on some of the trucks anyhow. So not like I really did anything. Because I got thinking all these wires right here. One thing you're going to use out of this painless wiring harness is actually the ignition switch. Everything else is on them separate drive motors and computers and all. So the headlights, taillights, and the power wire is all we're going to use. Everything else is pretty much getting disregarded. But anyhow.
What's the next step after you finish this one?
Once I get these headlights over here hooked up, then we go on to the engine side of it. Hooking the computers and all up inside. Hooking the engine up.
Which part's the most difficult? This part or the engine part?
Ain't none of it too difficult. It's just a pain.
Which to me would be difficult if it's pain.
Trying to make everything look nice. Because you don't want wires just running everywhere. You want it to look.
You want it done right the first time.
Yeah. And you want it to where you know what's what. And since this ain't my truck, I gotta leave translation messages where if something goes wrong, he can check it himself. So that was
Like years from now when the squirrels get in there and start chewing on it.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Hope that doesn't happen. It's happened to ours before though.
Yeah. But this just gives it a cleaner look, sleeker look. And when you do your parking lights out here, you always want to make sure you leave a bunch of one of them, not a bunch. But you got to pull the grill out of it to be able to access some parking lights. So you always want to leave enough slack in it to where you got working room. Now there may be a little bit too much slack, but it's easier to have a whole lot more than a whole lot less.
Alright, well I guess we'll come back when you start on the next.
On the next episode?
Yeah, next episode. That work?
Just coming together. You show them the back side of that over?
I think I did. I think I got it in there.
The wires are running inside the fender itself, so they're out of the way.
Might be able to see it through here.
Oh.
Okay, we'll bring you back in a few minutes. What you got going on now?
I'm trying to put this wiring on Jenny Craig.
What?
It's looking better.
Jenny Craig.
Yeah. Slim fast. Got the dash and all in it.
Move slowly.
That's all the
Oh, that's the
Dakota digital dash with the bracket. And then down here we got all the wiring tucked away to the ignition switch. So now we're just going to do this massive wires. It goes to the power windows and interior lights and stuff like that. But all your wires have numbers on them and they're written what they go to. So it's pretty easy to do. Then over here in the floor, we've got the wiring harness and all that goes to the Holley EFI. We're going to put it right here up under the radio, but it's going to have to change locations because the wires won't let it go there. So we're going to have to deal with that now. But it's coming along. I'm going to go ahead and run the wires for the interior lights and for the power windows. And we'll just keep trucking from there.
on the truck. Haven't videoed everything because there's a lot to video.
It's boring.
And it's boring. But we've got it up on jack stands now. Been working underneath it. Getting the lines ran for the battery and all the other good stuff. I'll show you how the engine's looking. Got a lot of that wired up. And got some interior wiring done also.
Someone's getting the light going there. Oh, this is dark. You can see in the dash there where I wired up the dash cluster side of it. There's not as many wires in the floor as there was, but there's still some there.
And got this over here installed. So we're moving right along.
Trying to keep it clean and organized without just having wires running everywhere and trying to put everything in looms. slows everything down. And videoing slows everything down twice as much. So we've been doing less videoing so we can at least keep a steady pace. So, I mean, it's from point A to point B wiring, so it's hard to show you everything we do.
Alright, well, my battery died, so we're back. So what are you doing there? What does that go to?
It's a speedometer. So I twisted my speedometer wires together because this one only has 2 wires. Most of the other ones has a sensor with 3 wires. So with this one here, it's a magnetic pulse. And you can't run these wires with nothing else because they'll cross-reference current. So I'm just putting them in the loom. He bought some fancy little loom deals, but I find it easier just doing my fingers.
Do it the old school way.
Yeah. But got to get up under it. Once I plug this in, then we got to wire the fuel pump up and wire up. What else?
Did you get the wire ran to the battery? I know you had to do that.
Yeah, I got the wire into the battery. I got to run the tail lights, which that ain't nothing. That's easy.
Already got the fan wire, the electric fans hooked up.
Yeah,
right.
Fine. I just got to hook them to the actual transmitter in there.
And got all the Holley EFI stuff on, right?
Yeah.
So you did that early on.
You had some questions about the sensors. This is the first time I've ever messed with it where you got 4 and 5 different computer things going together. But I guess it's a crash course because this seems to be what everybody's going to, so gotta learn sometime. But you gotta daisy chain everything together. And some of them, the older harnesses, the older computers didn't stand alone. So you had to have different sensors for each thing. But Dustin read up on it. I'm not much about researching. I just figure it out on my own as I go. I don't do computer stuff too well, so. But anyhow, he looked it up and said that since it was daisy chained together, that should work. But I went ahead and bought everything just in case, so if it don't work, at least we'll have everything. The only problem I'm having is the bolt and the head on the other side of where that goes in the water jacket. This is all brand new stuff. It's not been even ran yet. Don't even have a drive shaft in it. But whoever put the bolt and the head on the other side of there rounded it off. So when I put the Allen head in it to take it out, naturally it rounded the rest way off. So we're going to, once it's crunk up, which we're not doing that here, he's still got a couple of things he got to do to it. But once it's crunk up, I guess we'll see what the temperature and the oil pressure is, and then we'll go from there. Or once you got a pulse cable, you don't run it next to nothing else, like your blinker switch, or your blinker wires or nothing, because it'll cross-reference current. When we built the side-by-sides, we ran into that because they would always run the wires right together, and then you'd have problems. Well, we would have problems with them, they wouldn't. But anyhow, I'm gonna get this ran in here to the dash, and then we'll bring y'all back when we get something else accomplished.
Let's come over here and see how far he's gotten now. So which harness are you working on now?
Tail light harness for the bed. It's getting there.
So what are you doing? Just putting the loom on it now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, looks like he's got this part already done.
Yeah, it's coming along.
Cool.
Maybe a diagram off the other one so I know how long it was. Well, not a diagram, but a measurement. And this is the fancy little tool he bought.
You decided to try it out?
Yeah, my back's killing me, so I figured I'd just go ahead and do it. Hit the easy button.
Oh, look at that. That does look pretty easy.
And then you spin it around and spit your wire out. And there you have it. Tricks are for kids. Silly rabbit.
So you can teach an old dog new tricks, huh?
I reckon.
Well, you just learned one.
I don't know if I learned anything, but it just saved a couple of minutes. I think my learning days are over with because I can't remember if I learned something, what I learned when I learned it, if I did learn something.
Well, it looks like you're back in school. I hadn't seen you with a notebook out in years.
Yeah. When you're wiring 15 foreign objects together, it takes a little learning curve to get everything going. Had to get the Martians talking to the spaceship so they'd all know where they was going. Together. But it's getting there. I'll take y'all on the truck here in a little while and show you the wiring that we got under there. When you tape your wire loom up, if you'll take something and cut the tape instead of just ripping it off, it stays a little better. Not much, but a little. Because when you rip it, you stretch it. So then when it draws back up, it pulls off the part. But there it is, from A to the other A.
Looks good.
Now we just got to go install this end. I always cut my wires to different lengths. Like you see, if you can see, they won't all go the same direction.
Did you kind of have a moment there with the scissors or what?
But anyhow, I do that. That way whenever you splice them together, you have staggered splices. So each splice will be a different length than the one below it, so you won't have a great big knot there. Because right there is where I spliced all them together and you can't even see it.
Fancy.
That's just a little tip. It would help someone out.
So is this getting installed? Because it is now 3:16 a.m.
Is that all?
That's all.
Yeah. Alright, well, I'm going under the truck where y'all can't go. So, I guess we'll be catching up with you here in a little while. Alright. Well, we're finally knocking it all down to where we ain't got much to do. Right now I'm wiring the cooling fans up. I went and bought 2 pigtails from the parts store. And then there's my wire loom went. I'm just going to stick this over it. Move on to the next one. I messed up last night. You don't put your wire loom over this heat shrink when it's hot. Like I just had done it and I pulled the wire loom up. This has done cooled down. I got my hands all over it, but I had a whole bunch of wires back here at tail lights last night and spliced together, and I stuck my heat shrink over and it just melted the heat shrink to the, melted the wire loom to the heat shrink. So now if it ever has to come back apart, you're going to have to cut the wire loom off of it. I'm leaving both of these long because you never know what your next fan will be if he ever has problems with these. And on your tape, I don't know if she's videoing when I rip that tape or not, but when you rip it, you stretch it. So when you're taping the end of your joints on your heat shrink, if you'll take and pull your tape off and cut it, then it don't have a stretch spot in it. And another trick, if you'll figure out which way your wire loom cover is going, where the split is in it, like this one, it's going that way. If you'll wrap your tape around your wire yourself, bring it all the way back around to where it touches itself, that way you know it's got a good contact, and then put your wire loom on top of it, leave it split open, and then start your tape around, and as you start it around, close your wire loom up. And what that'll do is your wire loom won't slide up and down your wire now, because it's actually taped to the wire. The wire's taped, and then that's taped to the wire. But we'll get back to wiring. Like I said, there's nothing to see here but a bunch of hillbilly antics. As soon as we get something entertaining, we will bring y'all back. Hopefully in a couple hours, we'll bring y'all back to the finished product. And one or two people has asked about time frame on using this. And to clarify it, there's several different harnesses. You've got just your basic harness that runs all your lights, your turn signals and all. It runs your engine components, and it runs like your door lights, and that's it. Those wiring harnesses, if you strip, by the time you take the dash, strip all the old wires out to where there's nothing there, 0 wires, and put it back. That job normally takes right out about 8 hours, about a day. All of your wires are marked where they go. So as far as the wires, you don't have to hook a wire up to a positive feed and then decipher where it goes. The book walks you through it, and the wires have markings on them. So it's all self-explanatory pretty much. But a case like this, to where this is not the factory engine, that's not the factory wiring harness that controls those injectors. That's the computer itself. Then you've got the aftermarket dash cluster, which in this specific application we use Dakota digital. So you got the dash cluster that's got to be totally rewired, and then you've got a different transmission. This has got a 6-speed trimming, so that means you have to relocate your reverse light wire, stuff like that. So when you have to actually add, and it's got external fuel pump, so when you got to actually add wire to this to make everything play, and then there's a whole mess of wire that we didn't use that got pulled out of the harness, because in all reality, he rewired the power windows, so he would have just needed a base harness for this truck. He wouldn't have needed a harness he actually purchased. When you're videoing, if you have a 3-hour job and you add video to it, there's a whole lot more video that y'all don't get to see that actually gets cut out. So me, like right now, me explaining, this has took 15 minutes of me explaining, and then her video and trying to get a shot of something where it makes sense to you. Something like this actually makes the job last about 2 to 3 weeks. And it sounds stupid, but the camera slows you down. And you'll see other channels to where they just show you what they're doing to start, and they'll show you the finished product rolling out the door. And the reason they do that is because that was a 4-hour time lapse that they did, that it took them like 4 weeks to make. So it's either you get some people who want to see all the details, you get some people who just want explanations for it, and that just drags everything out. But if that little bit helps the questions that we got about as far as time frames on the wiring harness itself does not take that long. And it's time to wake up, the alarm clock's going off, and it's only 11 o'clock at night. But anyhow, the wiring harness itself is not that hard. You've seen on the white truck. The white truck took us about 3 days to do because of the filming aspect of it. But in all reality, the 57 Chevrolet I did, it had power windows. It was a 2-door car, power windows, power seats, everything. And it was a gutted car. So when it come to me, everything was out of it. So that helps out. That takes about 4 to 6 hours off the job right there. So when we did it down in Georgia, which we have no videos of it, so don't go looking for it. But when we did it down in Georgia, it took me right at, I'd say 16 to 20 hours to do. So it's not that hard. And like I said, the wires, my biggest problem is I got to wear glasses because I'm blind. But the wires are self-explanatory. Everything's an open loop system to where positive goes to positive, negative goes negative. You don't have no crossover loops. You have to put resistors in for your alternators, which he explains in the book how to apply your resistors. You have to put a resistor in on a fuel pump. I mean, on a fuel filter, fuel sending unit. But there again, that's all in the book, so it's simple. But as far as a time frame to answer that question, if you're doing it for somebody, it's hard to say. You just got to set a price that you feel comfortable with, and it's going to take a little longer because you're going to, like tonight, we had to go to town to get these ends right here. And the reason I got these is because I could have took these wires and just spliced them together. But if he'd ever had a troubleshooting process to where he was going down the road and this fan died, then he would have to start cutting wires. But right now, if this fan dies, he can unplug it. And if it's not a fan problem, he can plug this back in and go on about his business. He ain't got to do electrical tape or duct tape or nothing like that. Everything's simple test. So since this truck's being built the way it is, I'm trying to make everything streamlined as easy as possible. So stuff like this takes a little more time because you're running it down at the hardware store. But if you have any questions, email us or message the video or whatever, and I'll be happy to help you any way we can. That's how this come about. I think he messaged and then he
saw our video of us
white truck
showing up at an Advance. He recognized where the Advance Advance Auto Parts was.
And figured out we was close to him.
And looked us up on Facebook.
So, but anything we can help you with, you ain't got to be a neighbor. I can explain stuff on the phone too. I can help walk you through stuff on the telephone. I do that all the time. 9 times out of 10, it's an everyday occurrence.
Just about every day, yes.
So, I'm not claiming to be the smartest person in the world, but I got enough common sense to where I can figure stuff out relatively easy. But I'm going to get back to wiring this because otherwise this is going to add another 4 hours to this job. But we'll bring y'all back here in a few minutes and show you what we got going on. Well, the moment y'all been waiting for. This here is the cleanest you can get a wiring harness without running all inside the truck. It's split off into the front harness, which is the way it's designed. When you get it from Painless, it'll say front section, rear section, engine compartment, and all like that. So anyhow, I ran it inside the fender. So you can't see it until it comes back out up here in the front. And that goes to your headlights. And then we ran the engine. And I just zip tied it to the injector rail. Got all that cleaned up best as possible. Then we got this here. Run the headlights out the course port. If you can see it, it's in there somewhere. Well, I'm going to screw up the whole shot with the camera. Anyhow, run across the bottom of the course port. There's a marker light. There's a marker light. And then I ran it back inside the course port here. And then it goes through to your headlights. And then this here is this side of the motor. We ran I used the auxiliary block right there, the fuse block on the outside. But everything else is ran internally inside the truck. And then I ran my alternator wire. I ran my starter wire down the front of the motor behind the alternator down to the starter. And then we ran the fans. I gave him 2 plug-ins down that way he can troubleshoot if something goes wrong. One goes to one fan and one goes to the other, which internally comes inside to a relay inside the truck, which is mounted right here under the dash. Still got to vacuum the carpet out. We ain't done that yet. I stayed up all night long last night getting done with this thing. But I made a panel, and there's all the wiring. The 3 relays from left to right. The first left one is the fan, and on one fan, this is a fan, that's a fuse. That's a fan, that's a fuse. That's a fuel pump, that's a fuse. This fuse here goes to the power windows, which have relays on them. This fuse, this relay here, go to the Terminator. And there's another fuse right there that goes to the Terminator. But everything cleaned up pretty good. So I think he's going to be happy with it. And then we ran everything through the dash. And then this here is the Retrotech digital Dakota digital dash. I'll get it out in a minute. Like I said, I ain't had much sleep. But anyhow, that's all that. All the wires look clean. Everything's tucked away and zip tied together. So, and this here's a 5-speed, 5-speed truck. And we got relays for the windows. He put all that in. I didn't do none of that. But we get a creeper, and I'll show you up underneath the truck what it looks like. I'll give you one last look at this side over here before I go underneath the truck. We got all the wires zip tied up. New fuse box in place. So all this stuff's simple. I mean, we've had 1 or 2 people ask about how long it took and all like that, but it just all depends on how quick you are at deciphering stuff. Because it is a little challenging, even for me, as many of them as I've done. Alright, underneath the truck. I ran my speedometer right here, had a little wire. You don't want to run it next to any high voltage, like your fuel pump or anything like that, because it'll cross-reference signal and it'll throw your speedometer off. So that's the speedometer wire, and this here's your tail light wires. And they run the whole length of the truck. In the loom, and it's strapped to the tank, strapped to the side of the truck. And it runs all the way to the back. Then on this side, we ran the battery cable up and over the top of the cross brace here. And down this side of the truck. Fuel system, electric fuel pump. But everything's loomed together. Put some heat protector right there on the battery cable, that way it won't get hot going to the starter off the exhaust. But that there's kind of it in a nutshell. Maybe he can get it dry shaft and exhaust put up under it and get this thing in the road. Start enjoying it. I got the battery out here. It all cleaned up. It looks nice. I think he'll be happy with it. But anyhow, oh mate, I'm getting too old for all this stuff. But we'll get everything buttoned up the rest of the way on, and I still gotta do some finishing touches, like put the grill back in it, put the taillight bezels back in it, and check the temperature gauge, because we only use temperature gauge that goes with the Terminator X, and it's supposed to have a wire that goes from it that links it all together. So I'm gonna just short it out up here in the front, ground it, and that should make the cooling fans come on. But anyhow, let me get that done and I'll bring you back and show you the test of all the lights once everything's buttoned up. Get this thing ready to hit the ground again.
It's snowing, y'all, in East Tennessee. We're gonna get back in here and get back to work on the C10 wiring job. Stay tuned.
And that is yet to come.
Okay, before we get the grill bolted back in, we're gonna check the lights, make sure everything's working. So fire it up. All right, we got headlights. We got bright headlights. Driver side blinkers working. Passenger side. And then we've got the marker lights there in the grill. So we'll head around back and check out the tail lights, brake lights, and all that good stuff. Alright, can't get back here too good. We got the forklift parked here behind it, but we've got running lights, got brake lights, driver side blinker, got passenger side blinker. Okay, we got the truck all vacuumed out now, and I was going to show you the backing plate that he made. That piece back there, he made that out of a piece of metal and painted it so that he could hook up the Terminator X computer there and all of the relays. So all that is installed and looking neat and organized. So I think he already showed you the Dakota digital dash over there. So we are gonna work on getting this thing down off of the jack stands and ready to be picked up. All right, well, Dustin is here to pick up his truck, so we're gonna move it out of the shop for him now. He's parked out front with a trailer. He's already checked over everything. GMC is heading home. I think he's pretty excited to get this build finished. Hey.
Well, all right, y'all, we got the truck finished, and this here is the owner of it that's built it to this point before we got to it to wiring. And like I said before, he watched one of our videos on where we wired the white ton truck with the painless wiring, so he went a little further with it and added 2 more computers to it. So we got it all buttoned up for him, so we'll let him tell you how he got acquired the truck and what he's going to do with it.
This was my grandfather's truck. It's a 1987 C10. And unfortunately, he passed a couple years ago, and he had a couple daughters, and they were gracious enough to give it to me. At that point, me and my dad, we went and picked it up, and I brought it home and started working on it in my little garage there. And I put a LS 408 stroker motor in it with a Tremec TKX 5-speed, and took the bed off of it, and me and my dad painted the bed and added some bracing underneath there, and got to the point where I was needing to wire it up, and it was a little out of my comfort zone. So I got in contact with Mr. Thomas, and he's done a magnificent job on it, and looking forward to getting it going. I still need to put some body trim around the outside of it and put the wheels and tires on it and do the exhaust, but getting closer and closer, and I'm really excited about getting to drive it. I want to drive it to Texas to the LMC Truck Nationals out there. I want that to be the first trip that I actually make in it. So Thomas has built me a real nice schematic, so if I have any trouble with any fuse or anything like that, I wanted the truck to be simple from the beginning, and I think it's as simple as I can make it with all the computers that I've added to it and the LS that's in it. But I'm really thankful for you and Thomas being able to help me out with this process and journey that we're going to be able to enjoy this truck with.
Well, thank you.
And y'all will be able to see it on video, all the stuff we did to it. And he can watch his own video of his truck if he runs into any
Right.
problem.
That'll be helpful for sure, because
Yeah.
I've watched Thomas a lot of times on YouTube to be able to figure some stuff out. So that's awesome.
Well,
to
we
have
appreciate that.
this friendship.
But
All right.
we appreciate y'all watching the video, and we're going to get them loaded up so they can head home. And as usual, don't forget, like, share, and subscribe, and tell a friend. And sitting on your projects to leave dents in them. So get them in the road. And hopefully you'll see this in the road sometime in the near future.
Yes, sir.
Catch y'all later.
See you.
Just trying to get the truck straightened up here so they can aim it for the trailer and get the winch hooked to it and pull it on up.
Cut that way just a little. All right, now pull it. Now straighten up. Straight. Now you're straight. Come on. Right bumper. You're over. You need to pull it on up a little